Namaste, fellow Star Warriors. At least I hope you are one because you have tuned in to my and Advitya's review of The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 3. So, alright, watching along with me as always are Dr. Darth Vader and Master Blaster Yoda, who is standing right with his mortal enemy, and it's going to be Mortal Kombat. Alright, not so much, but this is the way, as the Mandalorians say. And what we are going to be watching is chapter 19 of the saga. And I like how they develop plot points in such a way that it's an overall cohesive story. And this one, the one liner description on Disney Plus Hotstar, where I'm watching in India, reads on Coruscant, former Imperials find amnesty in the New Republic. So there is political upheaval going on. There's a lot of massive change going on in the galaxy. A long, long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, as the opening scroll of the Star Wars movies says, or rather the original trilogy. Alright, so without further ado, let's get this show on the road. Okay, so while the opening parade of silhouettes of the famous outlines of Star Wars characters happens, I'll just recap the recap. And I find it good to have a recap at the beginning of every episode because, like I said, it's a huge interconnected story, and the characters who are going to be showing up in this episode are sort of referred to in the recap, and that helps us connect because that's how our minds work. They form connections to the past so that we can be prepared for the future, but we gotta live in the present. Hashtag 6Rsm. You can check out more about that in my book, A Life Afloat. Alright, the opening parade of silhouettes is over, and let's get on with the episode. Alright, so that's done and dusted. Our Mandalorian Din Djarin, played by the suddenly very in vogue Pedro Pascal, is a Mandalorian again because he has bathed in the living waters of Mandalore. And interestingly, Bo-Katan Kryze, who actually rescued him from those deep waters, saw the mythosaur on the way up as she was lifting him to the surface. And so her own disbelief about the supposed superstitions of the Mandalorians is kind of called into question. And that's always an interesting path to explore about how certain preconceived notions that we have are challenged by facts. So these are the kind of little things that play into real life from real life, and that kind of drives me on even more to share what I think with you. I invite you to share what you think, not just about The Mandalorian, not just about Star Wars, but about us humans in general as well. Anything and everything you like. And at this point, I think it's opportune to say smash that sub button for Awesome Max Fun, because just check out my videos. I vlog about a lot, and sometimes I have Advitya with me as well, but she's fast asleep right now, and I will keep it that way. Alright, so they are taking off from the planet Mandalore, and Grogu in his little metal pram is always nice to see. And there we go. Warning shots fired by a passing truck. Alright, on with the show. Space dogfight. Dogfights in space are something that Star Wars is famous for ever since the original trilogy. But right now, what really got my gears grinding was that the planet on which Bo-Katan Kryze has her castle is called Kalevala. And I'm from India, we speak Hindi, and in Hindi, these syllables, when said in two separate parts, Kalevala means belonging to the black. Alright, Kala is black, although this is deep blue technically. Black, okay, you can say that. And Wala means possessive, it's the possessive verb or something. Yeah, but grammar, semantics, everything aside, I have spoken about it earlier in one of my videos, and I have written about it on StackMe as well. That a lot of the names in the Star Wars extended universe, especially, are sort of, kind of lazy attempts with just one syllable or sometimes just one letter changed from a somewhat common word to make it sound Star Wars. So I'm not really complaining about that, but it ticks me off sometimes. Okay, right now this was just a hilarious coincidence that in my language Kalewala means belonging to the black, and that has a huge conversation behind it as well, dating back to colonial and imperial eras. And imperial things are, of course, what the new republic has just overthrown in the Star Wars universe as well, at the time at which the Mandalorian is set. Okay, so enough of a rant about that. Back to the episode. Oh no. It's like that character from Family Guy. He says, "Oh no." Kind of reminds you of Mr. Mackey from South Park. Okay. But anyway, what triggered that meme-worthy response was that Bo-Katan Crisis Castle has been crushed, blown up, split apart down to the foundations. It seems like it. Uh, so I guess now Bo-Katan Kryze is in with the Mandalorian Din Djarin, if we are calling them by their names. So Bo-Katan Kryze, Din Djarin, Grogu, after whom my little daughter is nicknamed Gogu, and not completely, but a little bit, and R4D5, the astro mech droid that Pelimoto gave to Mando with the N1 to co-pilot, sort of. So these people are going to head to Coruscant, I guess, because that was what was written in the one-liner description of the episode. And the chapter name is The Convert. So let's see who the convert is. Is it Bo-Katan Kryze, because she saw the mythosaur while she was dragging up Mando from the mines of Mandalore? Or is it going to be Dr. Pershing, who was shown in the recap? They also showed one of Moff Gideon, Giancarlo Esposito, the big bad of Breaking Bad's lieutenants, talking to the spy that they have, who is keeping track of Mando and his whereabouts. So lots more to go, and this, by the way, is an hour-long episode. So compared to the previous ones, it's pretty long, and Advitya is awake. So I will have Gogu with me, keeping me company through the rest of this episode. Way to go! This is the way. Hello, Gogu. Good morning.
गोगू
Gogu.
देखो
अच्छा, रुक जा.
हमको भी फोटो इसके साथ खींचना
Say hello to my little star warrior. She has just woken up from a nap, and she's going to join me in watching The Mandalorian after she gets a bit of feeding time. Oh, or she might just go to sleep again. May the force be with you, Gogu. Oh, dude. There we go. All right, let's get this show back on the road. All right, so while Gogu gets fed, but not like Grogu on frogs and all sorts of eclectic things, the two characters that I spoke about who were in the recap, Dr. Pershing and the minion of Moff Gideon, wow, that rhymed. Both of them are in the amnesty program and on Coruscant, and I don't know if we'll be seeing Mando and Bo-Katan in this episode for a while, I think. But yeah, Dr. Pershing is talking about gene splicing. So gene splicing is basically most famous as a technology called CRISPR, in which the DNA is changed at the ATGC level to enhance certain characteristics or to keep certain characteristics and discard others. And this is the kind of way forward for humanity as well. So they are talking about cloning, and they are talking about improving the lives of creatures. But what we are talking about with gene editing is more like keeping what we like and discarding what we don't. So it's a risky and a very research incentive intensive process, but that's what science and tech does for us. It makes our lives better in the long run. All right, on with the episode. I really like what they've done with Umate, the highest peak on Coruscant. So it's apparently the only point where you can see the actual planet. And imagine the future of Earth in which you will be able to walk up to the peak of Mount Everest and try and touch it, but then a droid will come and say, "No touching." So those of you who are into pop culture will know "no touching" is one of the catchphrases in Arrested Development whenever one of their many characters gets incarcerated in jail. They always have some sort of a lead up that leads into the guards shouting "no touching" and the convict, whoever it is, also raising up their hands and going "no touching." So apart from the hilarious Arrested Development, we have some good plot development going on in the Mandalorian, and we have a sleepy baby over here who is just ready to sleep. Aren't you, Gagu? Oh, and there she goes. Okay, so we are about halfway through this long 1 hour episode, and things are going interestingly. Alright, so I'm resuming watching after more than an hour since my last recording with Advitya, because we felt the tremors of an earthquake that happened in Afghanistan in the Hindu Kush region. It's the 21st of March, India time, around 11 p.m. Now it's past 12, but at that time, I mean, who watches the time? Everybody's rushing to get to safety. So we did evacuate for being on the safe side. It just goes to show how you can, time goes by in the blink of an eye, and there's not much you can do about natural calamities, except for building better early warning systems and using science and tech, space tech, to monitor Earth. And I guess that is why I have talked about this as well in one of my earlier videos and posts, that science fiction in TV, books, movies, it's important because it kind of unfetters the creative part of scientists, and future generations like Advitya will hopefully be inspired to create a better world by getting inspired by science fiction. Alright, so with that, let's resume The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 3, and be grateful to whatever powers there may be. Be grateful to nature for not having swallowed us up in the fraction of a second. Alright, moving on to more positive things, to imagination. As is so often the case, betrayal comes from those closest to you, and in this case it was kind of obvious that, to use another idiom or to coin a phrase, a leopard never changes its spots, and so the Moff Gideon minion has brainwashed, or rather brain wiped, Dr. Pershing, the genetic scientist. And that's the power of storytelling. It makes you empathize with the characters, and so I feel bad for Dr. Pershing, because he did have good intentions at heart, but good intentions unfortunately are not enough to keep us afloat. So on that note, read my book A Life Afloat, because you might get some kicks out of it. You might learn more about #6rism. I don't really need the hashtag, but that's what we do these days. Alright, so heading into the final moments of this chapter 19 of The Mandalorian, there is still no sign of Mando or Bo-Katan or Grogu or R4-D5 yet. And let's see if before the credits roll we get to see them again and see where they are headed, where the New Republic or the Empire both can't find them. Okay, so we have come to the end of the episode with the familiar Ludwig Göransson's theme music playing. It's like a western sort of a feel, right? But yeah, so as expected, Mando, Din Djarin, and Bo-Katan, and I just learned of the clan Kryze, but I like Kryze, so I'll keep calling her Bo-Katan Kryze. Both have been assimilated into the coven of Mandalorians. Grogu, of course, is an honored guest, and speaking of Grogu, here is Master Blaster Yoda and Dr. Darth Vader, and Grogu's namesake Grogu and Aradhya Akshat, wishing you may the force be with you. Take care, stay safe. Earthquakes and natural disasters make us, at least make me, a little bit introspective. So maybe you would notice the slightly toned down review that I made after we came back up after the earthquake evacuation. So do share your thoughts, like I said before the evacuation. Not really evacuation, but more of a precautionary measure. Yeah. Do share your thoughts about life, the universe, and everything. I am a Hitchhiker's Guide fan as well. Shout out to Project Bibliotherapy by my two good friends Nitin and Nandini as well, because this spiral led into H2G2. Okay, so with that, I'll close out this review. Thank you so much once again for watching, and like, share, subscribe, comment. Just let's build a positive vibe in an awesome Akshat tribe. Alright, this is the way.